In our last conversation, we did place premium on what the Obidient movement was likely going to crusade into. Looking back now, how would you rate the performance of Mr. Peter Obi, the Obidients, and the Labour Party in general?
Oh, thank you very much for this opportunity for me to, first of all, appreciate and thank vibrant Obidients throughout the country, young and old, male and female, even the diaspora, for the enthusiasm, for their determination, coming out very early in the morning on 25th of February to cast your votes, waiting patiently and peacefully, getting accredited through the beavers, watching their votes counted, even following the presiding officers as they counted votes, and waiting patiently. In some cases, waiting into the night and to the next morning. And in most cases, in almost every case, waiting for the results to be uploaded, which did not happen. I want to thank those, particularly in Lagos, Rivers, and other states, who were brutalized. There was a case of one lady who had injuries on her face and came back and insisted on voting. The determination was unprecedented. So the first thing I have to do, as an activist who had participated in mobilizing for this country, is to appreciate and thank them and to encourage them. I want to say, it seems that many Nigerians at home, here in Nigeria, and the diaspora, do not really understand the significance of what they did last Saturday. As somebody who has followed Nigerian elections impersonally since 1979, I can tell you that in order to understand elections in Nigeria, you have to understand the social environment in which elections take place. We pretend that we have a democracy, but in the real sense of it, Nigeria is still a feudal, primarily a feudal society. And the effort, one of the tremendous efforts made last Saturday, Saturday 25th, was to try to transform that feudal ethos, whereby people try to come and take their destiny in their own hand. It was revolutionary. And when I say revolution, I don't mean shooting people as understood by soldiers. All the shootings that soldiers have done since January 1966, it has not transformed or translated to revolution. A social revolution is a transformation process of the society whereby human activities in that society are transformed through planning and deliberate effort. And it is human beings that carry out that transformation. What Nigerians did on Saturday, 25th of February, is equivalent or can be equivalated to what the French did during the French Revolution by trying to remove power from the monarchy to the ordinary people. It can be equivalated to the American Revolution that tried to remove power from the monarchy to a republican state. Nigerians on February 25, 2023 demonstrated a determination to take power back from the vicious elite, vicious feudal elite that have held the country down since independence in 1960. Japan was a feudal state. It took the Meiji Reformation to transfer power away from the feudal laws in Japan to the commoners. That is what Nigerians tried to do on Saturday, 25th of February. And I want to congratulate Nigerians. It was revolutionary.
Despite the election being marred with huge irregularities, the Labour Party is said to have gained tremendously. At least you have nothing less than 40 federal lawmakers. How would you describe this feat in relation to party success like you had in the First and the Second Republic, which you've always talked about with understandable nostalgia?
During the First and Second Republic, during the First Republic, most of the parties started almost at the same time. In other words, they were formed. The parties that we have in the First Republic were formed between the 1940s and 1950s. The Action Group, the NEPU, the Northern People's Congress were formed. They had so many years, and there were many elections. They had to prepare regional elections before the federal elections of December 1959 that, prepared the ground for independence. It is unlike the movement, the Obedient movement, that had less than 8 months to mobilize for this election. It is true that the Labour Party had been registered for long, but the Labour Party did not take off the ground effectively until the Obedient movement. So that is one difference. So when we try to compare, we must take account of the fact that Labour Party had, the Obedient movement had. In fact, when we talk of Labour Party, the moving force of the Labour Party is the Obedient movement, of which Mr. Peter Obi and Dr. Yusuf Dati Baba Ahmed are the moving force. Now, in comparison, I would say that the Obedient movement, in my own conception or in my own understanding, being the sole progressive movement in Nigeria today, performed creditably. The movement is up or was up against formidable ideological foes in PDP and APC that belong to the same ideological camp, in the sense that they exist to protect the privileges of the elite and the ruling class. Let me tell you why I place them in the same class. And let me use the example of what Professor Joseph Richard, in an article in the Liberty magazine of the Civil Liberties Organization, of which I was an officer, described as prebend. The prebend, as it existed in medieval Europe, was an office of the church whereby clerics were entitled to the proceeds from the cathedral which they managed. You can liken Nigeria, you can liken the Nigerian state, and you can liken the state structures in Nigeria today to prebend, whereby it's not a democratic structure. To prebend, whereby the head of the government feels entitled to distribute the offices of his state at his fancy, whereby the governors of states feels entitled to distribute the office of the state government in any way he likes, whereby local government feel entitled to, in fact, they regard their various the local government, the state, as their own estates to administer as their own benefit. They are prebends. They are not democratic structures. So what Nigerians tried to do was to try to take back that structure to the people. And in my own estimation, what happened on 25th of February 2023 was more far-reaching, in the sense that Malam Aminu Kano's influence in the First Republic was limited mainly, even before independence, was limited mainly to a part of the core north, where he confronted the emirs. Although Obafemi Awolowo, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, his action group was nationalistic and had seats in the western region, the eastern region, and the northern region, and was the official opposition in the eastern region, the official opposition in the northern region, and controlled the western region. This time around, the Obedient movement not only swept the former eastern region, swept the present south-south, a great deal of the middle belt, and made inroads into the core north, the southern Kaduna, the southern Borno, Nasarawa, and others. So this is a revolutionary breakthrough within 8 months that the movement must consolidate come March 11, 2023.
Despite the gains so made, there are still many who have not come to terms with the ramifications of the gains so achieved and what still lay ahead. What effort is being made to bring up to speed those who trivialize this mileage, considering you still have the subnational election ahead of you?
That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. That I'm appealing to Nigerians. I'm appealing to all patriotic Nigerians. I'm appealing to the obedient movement, nationwide and in the diaspora, to realize that the project is not a one-day affair. That it is a major transformational project for the greatest black country in the world, Nigeria. And we cannot expect, it would have been futile to expect that the cabal that has controlled this country, the military, feudal, theological cabal complex that has controlled this country prior and since independence, will give up without a fight. Now let me tell you, you cannot understand Nigerian elections or what is going on without understanding the power structure, as I'm trying to, without understanding the power structure. A lot of people blame Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. Mahmoud Yakubu cannot act alone. He is part of a powerful system that is determined to press us down. And the obedient movement must recognize that they are fighting a historic battle against entrenched forces. And they have to be proud of themselves. I know a lot of youths. I met a lot of youths who were demoralized. Some saying they're not going to vote again. And I've been trying at my individual level to try to encourage them. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal most fervently to the obedience wherever they may be, to recognize their historic role in transforming the greatest black country in the world, and therefore in transforming Africa, and therefore in transforming the black world, in coming out to consolidate. Because if they couldn't come out on March 11, they will be given a free hand. Already I'm aware that the cabal, the APC, PDP cabal, are coming out like wounded lions with tons of money to try to buy up the obedience. And I understand some of these cabal are already courting, wooing the obedience to come to their side. No obedient should fall for these tactics. They are incapable of being reformed. They cannot be reformed. Well, if you permit me to take Delta State as an example. Take Delta State as an example. For the past 24 years, one party has been in power. And the party is known for profligacy, mismanagement of public resources. At the present time, Delta State is owing about 272 billion by their own admission, naira. In spite of billions of dollars that come from federal 13% derivation, federal allocation, and other internally generated revenue. Giving prudent management that is oriented to the development of the state and is oriented to the welfare of the society. Delta State should be a Dubai by now, where people from other parts of Africa come to invest and to see the progress, the meaning of development. But where is the development? Look at Asaba. Narrow streets, alleyways, tag, misdevelopment. Look at Asaba. There is nothing. There's nothing to show about Asaba, a state capital. After so many years of being a state capital, you tie one street, 2 cars cannot pass. Apart from APC Road. All administrations have been doing on APC Road. Tell me the other road that is in Asaba. What are the facilities in Asaba after all these years? So okay, let me give you another example. In addition or apart from gross mismanagement of public funds, sharing of money as a philosophy, there has been a lot of complaints by indigents about aliens, headsmen from nobody knows where, attacking innocent villagers, killing people, destroying farms. And I think I listened to an interview recently where a member of the House of Assembly, or a former member of the House of Assembly, Honorable Evans Iwurie, I don't have access to the governor, so I have not complained to him, but I will tell you what I did. Complained that he had gone to the governor several times to come to their aid in Ethiopia East and other parts of Delta Central, and the governor did nothing. How can you have that kind of governor? How can that call himself a governor of a state where aliens will come, attack your state, kill your people, and you keep quiet? And some years back, I learned that there was the Governor Kowa, called a meeting of Deltans to discuss the problem of headsmen attacks on indigenous communities of Delta State. Unity House, Government House. And I went. I don't go there because I felt strongly concerned. And I went with I won't call it a petition, a write-up detailing my information, the information at my disposal, and making recommendations. At the meeting at Government House, traditional rulers were allowed to speak. Arewa community was allowed to speak. Religious leaders were allowed to speak. One youth from Undokwa wanted to speak, took up the microphone, and was giving graphic details of the experience of his people in Undokwa area. Do you know what the governor did? He said they should take the microphone from him. How can you have a governor where the people cannot express their grievances? And when, according to the Honorable Wure, when it is expressed, no. And now we can now see the long-term plan. The long-term plan. How can you trade off your state in order to gain the favor of another ethnic group or of a powerful group? These are issues that go, this is even worse than stealing, than mismanagement of public funds. I never got a response, I never got a reply to my letter to the governor. So given this, I cannot see how any patriotic citizen of Delta State, how any patriotic indigenous of Delta State, who wishes to defend his community, can vote for PDP, can allow himself to be bought by PDP in the March 11 election. I cannot imagine that. The same thing goes for the APC. That's why I said they have the same party. They have the same brand. I think I can remember at the peak of the headsmen, one of the problems of the APC, why the APC is worse than the PDP. The PDP was mainly interested in looting. They were not interested, I don't think they were interested in taking over our land. That is why the APC is worse than the PDP. Sometime in 2018, Special Advisor to President Muhammadu Buhari on Media and Public Relations, Mr. Femi Adesina, went on AIT and was asked a question about Fulani herdsmen taking over ancestral land in parts of Nigeria, including the Southwest. You know what he said? He said, ancestral attachment? What will you gain if you are killed? In my own words now. That's the summary of it. Is it not better for you to hand over your land than to be killed? That was not the end. A few months later, at a 2-day seminar organized in Abuja by two of the twin publications of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, TVC and The Nation, his representative, quoting him, recommended to the federal government that, quote, unoccupied, isolated land can be taken over by the federal government and given to herdsmen to graze their cows. This elicited serious, strong response from the late Publicity Secretary of Afenifere, Yinka Odumaki, who responded to him that Yoruba people have decided that they were not going to give an inch of their land to Fulani herdsmen. Now, APC, represented by Omo Agege, belongs to the same brand. This is apart from the fact that the principal demand of the Yoruba nation prior to their pact with President Muhammadu Buhari was political restructuring, and it was number one in the APC manifesto. They ignored it. Nigeria has no hope under APC and PDP. And I don't see how any responsible, I'm sorry that most Nigerian youths do not have a sense of history, do not have a sense of some of these things that transpired, even in the recent past. And most of these Nigerian youths, at least, these issues that I've mentioned now, Google them, they're in the public domain, and take a decision whether you will hand over your fate in Delta State to this category of people.
You were a party man in the Second Republic and an active member of cabinet as a commissioner in Professor Ambrose Ali's UPN government of Bendel State. You have come to understand how much influence party has on party people and governments of a political party. From what you have seen of Mr. P2B movement and the Labour Party revolution, do you see that as having the capacity to transform those who might find themselves in the corridors of power, considering the possibility that we might begin to see Labour Party governors and lawmakers at the subnational?
This is very, very important. This is very important. How you translate ideas and make it a mass movement. Let me say this, with all due respect to the leadership of the Labour Party. Let me say this. My own understanding is that the obedient movement is an outflow of the frustration of the Nigerian youths and others who had bottled up their frustration over the years and who were looking for an opportunity to express it in legitimate and civilized channels. And they found this channel in Mr. P2B. They did not find this channel necessarily in the Labour Party, with all due respect. Incidentally, the ideology and the party of the Labour Party rhymes to a large extent with what the obedient movement stands for and what P2B has stated in his manifesto. The challenge, I agree with you, the challenge is to formalize, to translate, transform and formalize and universalize this idea. Because for somebody like me, for instance, who is, like I may say, an adherent, a convert, I don't need to be converted. But you cannot say the same of the younger generation. It takes time to build up what I may call an ideological gold standard, a gold standard, a moral gold standard, a vision within this younger generation. And this is the challenge that I think that the leaders of the labor movement and the leaders of the obedient movement have to face very, very quickly, particularly at this initial stage, where, particularly with the action of Mr. Yakubu and his cohorts in trying to frustrate the patriotic will of Nigerians. And a lot of youths are discouraged. This is a very critical time in which the leaders, the gubernatorial candidates, Mr. P2B himself, his running mate, and the leaders of the OB movement, of the obedient movement, have to roll up their sleeves and mobilize even more intensely because we have a very short time to mobilize these youths. And even after that, the mobilization should continue. I want to call on all the candidates at gubernatorial, starting from Mr. Obi Obidients and his vice, at gubernatorial levels, at senatorial levels, at House of Representatives levels, gubernatorial levels, House of Assembly level, to see themselves as the arrowhead of this movement to the grassroots. It is not an easy task, but the task is the job is ongoing. Translating and transforming this idea from the level at which to the grassroots, it is not an easy task, but it is doable and it is being done.
Well, those said, what would be your advice to Obidients who might feel discouraged arising from their experiences in the February 25th presidential elections?
I think I've already said it. I think I urge them to feel proud of their achievements in spite of the effort of the cabal to frustrate them. They should feel proud of their achievements. They should recognize themselves as the heroes of the new Nigeria. They are the heroes of the new Nigeria. And in Bendel State, if I may say, I'm still in Bendel. In Delta State, if I may say, I have interacted with our gubernatorial candidate, Deacon Kempela. I visited, traveled with him on campaign to some parts of Delta North Senatorial District. I have looked at his manifesto. I have observed his persona. And I think, in my humble opinion, that he is a credible representative of the obedient movement. And is a far distance from the kinds of people that we have today in the other two parties that I have mentioned. And I want to take this opportunity to appeal very strongly to all Obidients and all those who wish Delta State well to come out on March 11, 2023, to vote for the Kempela as governor of Delta State, to vote for all members of candidates of the Labour Party. We must have a change from a situation where a State House of Assembly exists to pass hefty budgets for sharing. I have looked at the manifesto, his 10-point manifesto, to transform Delta State in accordance with the P2B manifesto from a consuming to a productive state. And we have the potentials. And the key, if I may take one word from his manifesto, the key is technological revolution of the state. Every aspect of production in Delta State, be it agriculture, be it fish farming, and the building of industrial parks to generate technology. Technology must be brought home to the people. It must be domesticated. Technology should not be left at the university level or at the College of Technology. It must be brought down to the people. That is what Kempela wants to do. Technology must be indigenized. And that is the only process that we can transform. It should be an economic revolution. The economic revolution will involve the mobilization of all the resources of the state, financial. There's what we call the social resources. These are not physical. Technology, that is, your skills, the skills that you possess. For instance, now we are mobilizing for election. Nobody is paying me. Nobody is paying the Obidients. We have latent skill, that are not being utilized in Delta State. I'll give you an example. As an old man, an elder, I sit in one place, I don't go anywhere. Students come to complain to me what they are seeing in their schools. Young civil servants come to complain to me. A young civil servant came to me and told me his frustration in his office. His frustration is that in spite of the skills, in spite of his professional skills, he is not allowed to practice his skills in his department in Delta State. The skills that the professional expertise are rented out. They are given to contractors. Things that the people can do, they are given to contractors, contracted out and paid, whereas they have officers that can do them. I was watching CNN a few days ago, and Clarissa Ward, one of the CNN researchers covering the war in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine. You know what Clarissa Ward? Clarissa Ward showed a situation where Russia will bomb rail track. Russia bombs rail track. Within 2 hours, workers of the rail line are already there repairing it. It does not take 3 or 4 hours. The train is back. We have people who can do these things. Why are we contracting why are we destroying the skills of our people? Because we want to make money. I am telling you that Delta State will be transformed with prudent management under the platform and under the leadership of Labour Party and Kempela in Delta State.
Finally, before I let you go, the February 25th presidential election have come and gone with so much blame heaped at the doorsteps of INEC. If you were to advise INEC ahead of March 11 sub-national elections, what would be your advice to INEC?
INEC will not take any advice. Let me tell you. Look at me. I witnessed the 1999 presidential election. 1999, the first post-military election. It was rigged. If you don't want to take my word for it, Google the report of what's his name, the former president of United States, Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter Center report on 1999 election. Jimmy Carter was present in Nigeria in person. He knew General Obasanjo when he was a military dictator. So there's no question of personal bias. Jimmy Carter Center reported that after the election had been done, they went about altering the figures. Go and Google it and check. In 2003, that was the most comprehensively rigged election in Nigerian history. Ranging from registration of voters to everything, to candidates, to suppression of candidates, removal of names of candidates. Obasanjo got more votes in 2003 in Ogun State than registered voters. 2007, it was the worst because there was no record. Go and look for the result of 2007 election, you will not see it. They just wrote results. And President Yar'Adua, late President, may God bless his soul, accepted that it was rigged. 2011 was free and fair, conducted by President Goodluck Jonathan. A breath of fresh air. 2015 came back. These people that you are trying to present now, what is his name? Atiku Abubakar led the destruction of PDP at the convention of the party at Evil Square. He led governors to walk out. Went to Musa Yar'Adua Center in Abuja to form the new PDP. They went to Dr. Musa Kwankwaso's house to consolidate the new PDP. Atiku Abubakar helped in destroying the PDP and then no sooner than that, he went to APC, came back. These people are evil. 2015, go and read what Alhaji Tanko Yakasai, how 2015 election was rigged in northern Nigeria. Read it, Google it, don't take my word for it. There has been no free and fair election apart from June 12, 1993 and 2011. 2019 election was militarized. Read what happened in that was when we were starting to respect Yeson Wike, because he was able to withstand the military onslaught sent to Rivers State by President Muhammadu Buhari. Is on the record. People don't want to face the truth. So, if you are expecting, what is it called? It's called, what is his name? Mahmoud Yakubu to change. If you are expecting the cabal to change. You are wasting time. I met a PDP man yesterday. You know what he told me? You know what he told me? He told me that since APC has started rigging the election, that they are the ones that taught APC how to rig, that APC will see rigging on March 11. Are those the people you are trying to change? It is only the people that can change Nigeria, not APC, not PDP, not INEC. Take back your country. Come out of March 11. Do what you did on February 25 and take back your country. Thank you.
How do you do that, sir, before election?
As you did on that day. The beavers will be used. You will be accredited. You will vote. They will count the votes. Follow them to count it as you did that day. Collect your result. Collect your from EC 84, something like that. By the agents. This is the basis. That is why they are going to fail in court, because we have all the results. The one they have manipulated will not stand the test of judicial scrutiny. That's what we are going to do.
We cannot thank you enough for always availing us robust disposition whenever we call. Immeasurable thanks for availing us your time.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I thank you very much.